Welcome, CSL. For those of you I haven't met before, I am Ben Jamison. I'm your associate minister here. And you know, with CSL, we have 7 core values that we use to guide all of our practices. Those core values are love, healing, oneness, abundance, spiritual growth, service, and diversity. Today we're focusing on love, and rather than taking some time to talk about love, I'd like to take some time to practice it. Because there are people in our community who need a lot of love right now. We've been following the condo collapse in Surfside for a while now. Know that there are still many people missing, and a tropical storm bearing down to cause even more stress, tension, fear, worry, concern. All things that love is the perfect balm for. So if you're willing to join me in a conscious, intentional expression of loving this morning as our core value, allow your eyes to close. Touch into your heart center so you can feel that loving center in the core of your being, and just breathe in the experience of love. Breathe it in. It lives in the core of who you are. It is who you are. It is the impulse of the universe that birthed you. So loving is your nature. And as you feel that love inside yourself, bring to mind the condo. And simply vision, in whatever way is yours to vision, love surrounding that building. Maybe it's an orb of white light. Maybe it's a column of the living light of love anchored into the earth, surrounding that entire building. Knowing that as we intentionally send love, the infinite wisdom of the universe sends that love wherever it needs to go, that it is in this moment reaching everybody everywhere who is in any way impacted by this tragedy. That if they need strength, the love is bringing them strength. If they need peace, the love is bringing them peace. If they need compassion, this love is providing infinite compassion. That safety and security are wound up in this love. Take just a moment to visualize, to intentionally send the energy of loving out from your consciousness, out from your heart, out from your being, to all those impacted and in service with the condo in Surfside. We are light workers. Born from the light of living love, we have the power to express and send and share this love, which is not an insignificant thing, for love is the greatest power in the universe. It is what caused the universe to birth itself. And so with the full authority of that creative presence, we here as one know that love, perfect love, is doing the work that it needs to do for everyone involved in any way in that condo in Surfside. And so it is. Thank you for joining me. You know, CSL is also part of a global organization with over 500 centers worldwide. We are a spiritual community that honors all religions and all faiths. We know there is no wrong way to worship. Whether you're lighting a candle, repeating a mantra, or saying a prayer, we respect and honor any way that draws us closer to Spirit. So we celebrate the diversity in religious practices with our ceremony this morning, the Flames of Faith. The candle is lit for the Tao, to honor the universal path of harmony, the natural way. The candle is lit for the shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous people. The candle is lit for Hinduism, to honor the spiritual path of devotion and the variety of religious icons and deities. The candle is lit for Judaism, to honor the path of sacred law. The candle is lit for Buddhism, to honor the Four Noble Truths and the way of compassion. The candle is lit for Christianity, to honor the Christ consciousness that lives in all of us. This candle is lit for Islam, to honor the path of peaceful submission to the will of God. The candle is lit for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, to honor the path of unity. The candle is lit for our own faith, New Thought, to honor the metaphysical path and the practice of universal spiritual principles. And then finally, the 10th candle is lit for peace, for the peaceful acceptance of all faiths and spiritual practices worldwide. And so it is. So happy 4th of July once again to everybody here. You know, this is not just celebrating the birthday of America, but it's more about the experience of freedom. The thing about freedom is that it requires us to claim it in our own consciousness. So as we celebrate not only the birth of this nation and the fact that we, by virtue of where we were born, have freedoms that many people could never imagine, let's also celebrate our power to claim freedom in whatever experience we're having, especially if that is an experience of fear and being lied to by that emotion. Our book of the month this month is called Living the Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. It is one of the foundational books in the Science of Mind teaching. It's really a series of many short essays that talk about different experiences or qualities or practices and how to apply them to your life. The first chapter we're looking at today is called Living Without Fear. Now, if there is anybody here who has mastered living without fear, I could use a little bit of help with that. So feel free to come on up. And nobody? Okay, good. Glad we're all on the same page. I still have fear in my life. I still have fear come up and I struggle with it and I try to work through it. So we can talk about some strategies for how to work around the fear when it comes up and then look at what causes that fear so that we can maybe get a way to undercut that experience when it comes up. You know, the first thing to recognize is that there are really two types of fear. The good fear and the not so good fear. You may be thinking, well, gee, Ben, I don't think any fear is good. What's good fear? So, hypothetically speaking, let's say that you have this desire to go skydiving. I got mine in before I got married, which is good because I'm not allowed to go again. I love you. So you decide you want to go skydiving, and you've got your tandem jump scheduled. You're going to go be strapped to an instructor and jump out of an airplane, and you get to the airfield at 8 in the morning, and the instructor staggers up to you, smelling like whiskey, and says, "Good morning," just jump out of a plane. Clearly drunk, right? You might have some fear come up in your experience around being strapped to this person and jumping out of a plane. That's good fear, right? The alarm bell goes off in your consciousness saying, hey, there's something you need to pay attention to, something that is immediately actionable. You better do something about it. And it's really clear, right? It's really obvious in situations like those what the fear is pointing us to. And so we're able to say, I'm not going to jump out of a plane today, not with you, thank you very much. We act on the fear, take the steps we need to take, the alarm bell goes off, the fear goes away, we're safe. That type of good fear is something we do not want to eliminate. That's something we want to pay attention to as quickly as we can, because if we don't pay attention to it, the alarm bells will get louder and louder and louder until we do. The not so good type of fear is almost like that overcrowded parking lot where one car alarm goes off and it triggers all the other car alarms to go off. So instead of just having this one alarm that you need to pay attention to, everything is blaring, you have no idea where the information is, and it becomes overwhelming. It becomes that place where you cannot move, where it steals your sleep, it steals your peace. You have no idea what's going on. You feel overwhelmed and crushed under the weight of all of this cacophony of alarms going off in your consciousness. Anybody know what I'm talking about around that? You may think, well, gee, that doesn't sound like not so good fear. That sounds like pretty bad fear. The not so good part, the good in there, is that there's still a piece of information for us to pay attention to. There's still something that we are being pointed to that needs our attention or our action. It's just that instead of one alarm going off, they're all going off. And as soon as we turn one off, it kicks itself back on. So it's really difficult to find what that piece of information is. But we still have something in the midst of all of that fear, something that we need to be aware of, to take action on, to serve ourselves, to bring ourselves more joy, more peace in our life. So it's good to have some ways that we can get a little space from that experience of overwhelm from the fear. We've talked about a lot of things recently that could be beneficial for this. The first one is, of course, that self-inquiry. To name the experience, I am having an experience of fear, to remind yourself that what you are is not the fear, but you are the one experiencing the fear. This can then be used in consciousness to separate, to shift up and back, to observe the experience of fear from a little bit of separation to help lessen the intensity of it. We can look at our body and our breathing. Are we breathing shallow? Do we have our body hunched over? You ever heard of power poses? Power poses are great. This is a power pose. This is a power pose. This is a power pose, right? Hold a power pose for a minute. Stand up wherever you are, whenever it just strikes you. If you're a little low energy, stand up and hold a power pose for a minute. This is the best one to start with, because if you try this one and you don't work out a lot, your shoulders are going to hurt real quick, right? But that brings a feeling of power into your body. That brings a certainty and an anchoredness into your body that can be very helpful when you've got fear trying to weigh you down. You could do something completely different. If we're sitting and spinning in an experience of fear, going over and over about all of the possibilities about what terrible, awful things could happen, not just with this situation, but then down the road, cascading 15, 30, 45 years for the rest of our lives, and oh my God, this is going to destroy everything, or not if I don't make the wrong choice, and oh my God, can I make the right choice or the wrong choice? Get up and do something different. Go exercise. It'll help with this power pose. But also that exercise helps to burn off the stress chemicals that fear floods into our body so that you can get a little bit of space. We can also look for where we might be able to take some specific action, some small specific action to move us forward. I've got an example of this. It's a really silly example, a little embarrassing for me, related more to resistance than to fear, but it's kind of the same thing. There's a lot of resistance built up in fear. So a couple weeks ago, I had some ironing to do. And I don't like ironing. I hate it. Don't want to do ironing if I can possibly avoid it. The ironing was set out, and I walked up to it and went, I don't want to iron. It's my day off. I shouldn't have to iron. And I puttered away, did something wasting my time, and I puttered back, feeling like I'm like 90. I'm puttering around because I don't want to. Nothing wrong with being 90. We welcome people of all ages. This is a diverse community. We love all of you. Age is beautiful and wonderful. So I puttered back and forth several times. I don't want to iron. And eventually I said, you know what, Ben? If you are committed to being upset about having to iron, you might as well be upset about having to iron while you're ironing so that it actually gets done. And as soon as I picked up that iron, my resistance went away. I ironed. I was done in 10 minutes while watching a stupid show on Netflix. It was fine. It was fine. But my resistance, my refusal to take action that was right in front of me to take, perpetuated the experience of this resistance, just like when we're stuck in fear. If we can take one small step in one direction, it may loosen things up. It may give us a little bit of space, a little bit of release from that overwhelm. We can also ask ourselves the very important question, is this worth my peace? It's a good question to ask no matter what our experience is this worth my peace? Go ahead and take a second just to touch into your heart center, allow your eyes to close, and call forward an experience of peace in your body. If you're having trouble calling forward an experience of peace, just imagine that you can. Imagine what it would be like to feel at peace in this moment. Feels pretty good, doesn't it? Go ahead and open your eyes. What's that worth? What's worth giving that up for? The answer is always nothing. Nothing is worth giving up your peace. Nothing is worth giving up your joy. Of course, just asking ourselves this question isn't immediately going to shut down overwhelming fear, but it may provide us a little bit of context. It may help us to realize what our choices are so that we're more willing to take that little action, to get up and go run, to move our body position, or to recognize that we are not the fear, but we are the one observing it. All of these are great tools to help when we're in an experience of fear, but we also want to have a way to not get into that fear in the first place if we possibly can. Ernest Holmes says this about what underlies that fear. He says, most fears finally resolve themselves into a very few attitudes of mind, most of which are based on the belief no one wants me, needs me, or loves me. Probably, I'm unworthy, unnecessary, and useless. I am inadequate to meet life. I have not the strength or the power of will to overcome obstructions, and I do not fit in anywhere. Those are pretty scary beliefs. If we have that belief lurking in our consciousness, no wonder we find ourselves overwhelmed with fear. And the truth is, friends, all of those are lies. I do not fit in anywhere. Friends, I belong to life. You belong to life. We know that you belong to life because life is beating your heart right now. Life beats your heart when you sleep. Life breathes you. Life makes your liver live and your kidneys kid. You have no idea how to do those things, right? What does even a kidney kidding mean? We don't know. Is that where the funny bone is? I thought it was the elbow. But in any case, I belong to life, right? Life itself takes care of me. Life seeks a greater expression of itself through all of its emanations. So I know if I belong to life that all is well. Ernest Holmes says this: "For all of these varying forms of fear are rooted in one fundamental negation. We do not know that we belong to the universe in which we live." I belong to life. I belong to the universe. What does belonging mean? I like dictionary definitions. You can find a lot of wisdom in them. Two of the definitions of belonging are this: to be rightly placed in a specified position, or to be suitable, appropriate, or advantageous to. I belong to life, meaning that in the specified position where I currently find myself, I am suitable, appropriate, and advantageous to life itself. Replace life with spirit, the universe, with God, whatever word works for you. Wherever you are, whatever you are experiencing, you are rightly placed in that specified position as appropriate and advantageous to life itself. It's a pretty powerful position to be in. But you may think, well, how in the world does a universe based on love find it advantageous to put me in an experience of overwhelming fear? That doesn't quite seem to add up. It's not about the fear. It's about what's on the other side of that fear. And the bigger the fear, the bigger the opportunity. When we find ourselves in an overwhelming experience of fear, the truth is that there is something for us far greater on the other side of that fear, and life has placed us there because life knows in its infinite wisdom that no matter what the outcome, we will be fine, and we will be greater than we ever have before, and life itself will guide us to greater and greater things. Because in a universe based on love, if something has come up in your experience, no matter how big or scary or awful it might seem, you have earned the right to address it. Think about it. If you had something come up in your experience that was too big for you, that there was no way for you to appropriately handle, that wouldn't be a universe of love. That would be a universe of punishment. But we know that's not what spirit is. So no matter what you are facing, whenever you are facing it, you have all that you need to grow through that experience and find yourself more loving, more joyful, more grand than you were on the other side of it. And don't let anybody tell you that there is a right or a wrong out of these experiences. Say you're in an experience where you have two possible paths in front of you and you don't know which one to choose. If you choose path A, then guess what? Down the road, you will be rightly positioned in a place where you are appropriate and advantageous to life. And if you choose path B, down the road, you will be rightly placed in a place where you are appropriate and advantageous to life, because life goes with you wherever you are. You have earned the right to address whatever is in your experience and overcome it in a way more magnificent than you can imagine from the depths of that fear. Another way to really work with this fear is to turn to love, to turn to our core value today. You know, I'm not much of a Bible guy, but occasionally there's some good wisdom in that book. The Bible says there is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear involves punishment. And in perfect love, there is no such thing as punishment. Friends, we don't deserve punishment. I don't. You don't. We deserve love. We deserve to open to the experience of life that life has before us. We deserve to have every single thing that we need to handle any experience of fear that we have, knowing that on the other side of it, there is something so much greater for us. And if we simply do our best to focus on what's on the other side of fear, not how we're stuck in the moment, then we will have the awareness, the space to move through it. We have an interesting opportunity coming up this month to move through a little bit of fear and find your truth and express your truth in an art form of spoken word poetry. We have an upcoming workshop called Rock the Mic, and the author, poet, creator, and teacher of that event, Stephen Valentine, is here to share with you an expression of living without fear through the power of spoken word. Stephen Valentine.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Thank you for having me. My name is Stephen Valentine, and this poem is about fear, and more specifically, fear of being oneself. Oftentimes, we get stuck or caught up in people around us and how their lives seem to be, especially through social media or maybe our neighbors or even our friends group and our family. So this poem is about overcoming fear and being just being oneself. So. Thank you. I've been a witness to some things lately. People not acting like themselves lately, walking dead type creatures, crazy like androids or cyborgs dressed in the same style of a black alley brownstone in 1993 Harlem, like pick up your mind type creature. I thought you dropped it a while back. I just wanted you to know that it never lacked. It was still here, still lurking, still thinking, still working. We all hold heartache in our chest and chains. We are all gridlocked, rocking the purple rain, grit and malice in our tussle. We are all Milton and Malcolm's muscle branded into my skin, the sweet scent of victory when my words cover this world like a good sheet. Listen, listen, your heartbeat of your individuality is humming inside your chest, and it's waiting to be set free, free from decree, free from degree, the belief you can be the most of nothing they can accomplish to be. Take the reins, fame, and the name, double cross over, back pocket, dream, defer the game, and be the change when no one is left. And what's man-made is not left for man to make. Be the change you've always been destined to be. For me, just be you. Thank you.
And there it is. Just be you and love who you are. Because it's perfect. And because that's who life birthed you to be. Let's take a moment now to move within. We have an opportunity to connect to that spiritual presence, to that spiritual power in the spiritual practice of meditation. And so as you allow your eyes to close and find yourself comfortable in your chair with your feet flat on the floor, taking a deep breath and letting the music turn your attention within. And so with our attention turned within to that heart center, that place where love and peace and life reside, we can simply sit back and relax, knowing that we are surrounded, protected, and loved by the infinite presence of life itself. And in this safe space, knowing that the light of living love is with us and for us, surrounding us, filling us, protecting us, guiding us in every way, we can take a moment together in the silence to ask within, what am I ready to let go of? What is the fear? What is the doubt? What is the worry that is ready to be let go? And in that light, we can simply release and allow the love to dissolve it back into the nothingness from which it came and just be you. Let's take a moment in the silence together. Breathing into this moment, breathing in the love, breathing in the peace, breathing in the light, knowing that the presence and power of life itself guides, guards, directs us, and protects us in everything we do, that good and more good is mine. We can simply allow it to be and meet life in this moment with joy, celebration, and freedom. Taking another deep breath in, allowing that breath to bring us back into the moment, into the room. Maybe wiggle your fingers and your toes. And when you're ready, open your eyes and be here now. We like to end every service with an affirmation. You should have an affirmation card, and that affirmation will be coming up on the screen. So let's say that together. Together, I am completely safe in a universe created and sustained by love. And so turning our attention to that universal presence of love, that universal presence of love that guides us in all ways and always, we know that wherever we set our feet, we are on the right path. That there is no right or wrong, there is only the choice of the moment and the new opportunity it brings, forever and ever, a greater opportunity to express life, to step through fear into love, into joy, into expression, to be more of life than we ever have been before. And so knowing that this love keeps us safe, this love holds us up, this love pushes us forward and draws us out into the greatest expression of ourselves this week as the highest benefit to everyone in our lives, we know that good and more good flows to and through us now and always, and celebrate the freedom of life being lived as us by the universal presence of wisdom, knowledge, and love itself. For all this good that is now and yet to be, I give my thanks and release this truth into the law that birthed the universe, knowing that it is good and very good, and it is done. And so it is. Thank you so much for joining us here at CSL. Have an amazing 4th of July, and join us next week, 10 o'clock for meditation, 10:30 for Sunday celebration. Bye, CSL. Have a great 4th of July.
Thank you for watching, and thanks for supporting CSL. If you'd like to know more about us, check us out on our website or social media. Blessings.